they'll never end. Sun takes its heels to taunt you, but after sunlit days, one thing stays the same: rises the moon.
This is 89.3 WGSU. Genesio's Voice of the Valley presents
Art After Dark with Lia and Moon, a show where two moon lovers talk about art and everything that comes with it.
the good and the bad,
The happy and the sad.
the beautiful and the ugly.
My name is Lia, and my art mood for today is Girl with a Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer.
And my name is Moon, and my favorite art piece for today is R.G. Miller's When I Dream of My Childhood. So actually, it was when we went to the museum the first time when we met each other.
First Friday?
Yeah, first Friday, and it was one of the pieces there. And it was, I don't know, the piece is very emotional. It's about this indigenous man and his experience in the schools in Canada and at the border of the US, where they would basically take indigenous children and mistreat them a lot. And so this piece specifically, I was looking at it and I was just I wanted to cry looking at it and reading the description. And I was trying to find a picture of it. I cannot find a picture of it anywhere. There's information on the site, but not about the specific piece. But I remember from the description, at least I believe I do. I believe this one is the one where it's painted him as a young child and he's basically screaming. And there's oh, this is so disgusting. There's this substance which is supposed to be semen on his back. But I was looking at it and I was oh my gosh. I know, I'm pretty sure they're called residential schools. I know they were awful, but to see a work from somebody and then listen to them talk right before that, it was just wow.
Yeah, so I feel we have very different moods for today. My painting, The Girl with the Pearl Earring, is the typical icon of Dutch Golden Age, of beautiful Western paintings that you think of when you hear art history, probably. This artwork was accomplished during the Northern Renaissance period in the 17th century, and it's also called the Mona Lisa of the North. I'm sure that you know it, but it's basically the depiction of a young woman with a marble, beautiful face and a pearl earring, of course. Yeah, by the way, I would highly recommend the movie about this painting.
I've really wanted to watch it. I've seen clips of it and it looks so good.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson is the lead actress there, and it's not based on real life. It's just inspired from the painting itself, from the painting of the marble face, pearl earring girl. But it's a very, very interesting, maybe a little bit cliche, but it's still interesting. I watched it with my mom and she liked it.
When did you watch it?
When?
Yeah.
Last year, I think.
Really? Is it a newer movie?
I'm not sure if there is any new adaptations, but it's with Scarlett Johansson. I think it's in the 2000s.
Oh, okay.
I also saw the painting in real life at Maurits' house this summer in The Hague, and it was amazing.
Oh
Absolutely
my gosh.
amazing.
I'm so jealous. Yeah. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
There were some kids in that room and they were screaming, and I just wanted to look at the painting. And with every famous piece, there's a lot of people looking at it, and you it's like a life and death battle of who sees the painting. Okay, so I feel we should introduce our topic, our show, and ourselves, of course. I'm super excited to be doing this because we've been talking about this for weeks now, and it's crazy. So let's start.
This is the episode. Episode 1, is art necessary?
Let's talk about this. Let's address this question and explain that art is, of course, necessary.
Yes, it is. It's definitely necessary. Right now, what we're doing is an art form, podcast, talking, radio station, everything.
Because it involves artistry, creativity, creative thinking, open-mindedness.
Exactly.
And a lot of art-related topics. And a disclaimer, we're not just going to talk about visual art, paintings. We're going to address all art forms because everything can be considered art if you argue enough to make it art.
Honestly, I would argue so much about like the smallest things where people are like, I don't know, that's not art. I'm like, it is though. I don't know what you're talking about, but here's why it is. And they're like, oh, okay. First of all, art has always been a part of like human civilization, like since the Stone Ages, and definitely before the Stone Ages, before they were like writing things down on walls. And it's also constantly all around us, like the buildings that we live in, the like landscaping, music. I know most people listen to music. Music is an art form. Even just like considering maybe like things that are made for stores, like that takes a lot of time and effort to kind of construct and make in a way that is appealing to an audience while also being useful to an audience. So I consider that like kind of an art form. So yeah, it's literally everywhere. There's no way to avoid it.
It is everywhere, and as cliche as this sounds, it is, I think, the only thing that makes us truly human. It defines humanity in a way. It's something that differentiates us as species, you know? And it's something that, I don't know, it's a mode of expression, of human expression, of self-expression. I feel like it's very empowering, and I feel like, yes, it does have the potential to bring about change when you speak about, I don't know, graffiti or political art and propaganda. That's one of, I love those topics.
Relevant topic.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. Art's definitely a way to, I wouldn't use the word manipulate, but it's an effective strategy, perhaps.
Yeah.
For some things.
Some things, yeah. I mean, art is influenced by politics, and politics is influenced by art, which you can see through like just looking past decades. Specifically, I'm obsessed with Austria Vienna currently. So the Vienna Secession, and like thinking about World War II, and thinking about Hitler.
Degenerate art. Like, why would he prohibit certain artistic pieces, you know, like why?
It's because he didn't think they were quote unquote good enough, because they were the kind of things that the like the people he got rejected from liked, and that society liked more. So,
but I think there could definitely be some deeper political connotations. He was prohibiting modern art. And modern art is known to be politicized. So it would make people question certain stuff about art, about conventionalism and traditional art. It would make people think.
Correct. And he didn't want people to think. He just wanted people to listen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you about my favorite quote, because it's related to this question.
Yeah.
So I feel that I need to include it here, especially at the beginning of our episode.
Yeah.
Have you watched Dead Poet Society, the movie?
I watched it like a long time ago, but I remember it being an incredible movie.
Oh, it is definitely an incredible movie with an incredible actor.
Robin Williams.
So anyway, in that movie, John Keating, the character, he's a professor, college professor, and he tells his students, he teaches literature, I think, so he tells his students, medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life, but poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. I love this quote, and I always bring it in my conversations when somebody asks me about art, because it's so self-explanatory.
Yeah, it really is. It is. I really do love art so much. It's why my career path I'm pursuing is involved with art, because I love it so much, and it's influenced me so much over the years.
Yeah. By the way, let's introduce ourselves.
Right.
Speaking about career paths.
Yeah.
And what we study and what we do with our lives.
Well, I'm an early childhood education major.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't?
I thought you studied art history. That's what I knew.
Well, art history is my concentration. So basically an education major is basically a double major at this point. So I take my art history classes, which I love, and then I take my education classes too. And I go to a school to teach like help a teacher, not teach yet. That's next year. But so it's really fun. And I mean, I don't know, the reason why I study art history, I mean, specifically for this school, is because they didn't have an art program.
Oh yeah, because you also make art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to mention this. I have to mention this. The logo and our Instagram post is designed by you. So the ideas are both of our ideas, but like you design it, and that's absolutely amazing. I appreciate and admire people who make art and produce it. It's so beautiful.
Appreciate that.
It's so beautiful. The only art thing I can make is writing. I think that's also art.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, my cousin is a painter. She paints very beautifully. So.
Oh my gosh. I don't know why I thought that you were an artist. When I first met you, I was like, oh, this person's an artist.
Well, I am. I do theater.
Yeah.
I write.
Yeah.
Sometimes I draw. So what I like to do
I saw actually your drawing Friday.
No, that was not.
Oh, sorry, Thursday. No, it was good.
You think so?
I think so. I was like, oh, this is like gesture drawing.
Gesture
drawing, like where you like, you know what gesture drawing is, right? Yeah, okay.
I like contour drawing, and what I usually do, not usually, very not usually, when I have some inspiration, some sadness inspiration, loneliness inspiration. No, I'm kidding. So I use that notebook with an angel with a cactus that my friend gave me. And I draw, and then I write on the drawing.
Oh!
Like text plus drawing, and it's usually fine line and very minimalist, because I just can't do something more.
Yeah.
Like, I love to draw, and I would like to, I think charcoal drawing is one of my favorites. So, if I have time in my life, I would definitely like to pursue it.
You should.
Because, it's oftentimes assumed that painters are all about talent, which they are, but I can think of Van Gogh.
Yeah.
How much training and skill he put into to perfect himself. So even if there's, of course, you need to be talented.
Yeah.
But if there isn't any hard work and motivation,
exactly,
why would you be talented?
See, it actually makes me really angry when people are like, oh my god, you are so talented. And I'm like, no, I'm not talented. I've just been practicing my ass off since I was in preschool. Yeah. Like, but I know what they mean. So I'm like, oh, thank you.
I think when you talk about talent, you mean this desire and this passion, burning passion for this art form,
Yeah.
That could be the definition of talent.
Yeah. It's interesting because usually when people say, oh, you're so talented, they also like say after, like, I can't even draw a circle or I can't even draw a stick figure. I'm like, you could if you tried.
Yeah.
You can if you tried, but they don't have the passion for it, I guess.
What's the most difficult thing for you to draw or paint? For me, it's hands and eyes.
Oh, I love drawing eyes. Mine are feet. I hate drawing feet.
Or hands, like fingers. I could never.
It's so difficult.
It's so like, why?
I mean, like,
so difficult.
If I really sit there and do it, I'm trying currently to do more. I need to stop myself from like doing more stylized things and focus more on doing like the realism, the skeleton, the like muscles and stuff like that.
I saw you drawing.
Yeah. And then I made it into a stick figure because I wanted to go.
Yeah, we were very hungry.
Yeah, I was about to get hangry. Anyways, this is kind of really off topic.
Yeah, it is. We went to the Memorial Art Gallery in Rochester, by the way. Very cool. Very cool art space, a museum where you can actually learn the history of art because there's everything in there, starting with Egyptian mummies.
Yeah.
Going to Asian art and ending with Bill Viola's installation.
Yeah, and there's like, European art, of course. A lot of like Catholic art specifically. On the bottom floor they had some contemporary art and a whole section for just like drawings. That was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what we were talking about. about? What are we talking about?
Why we study art and why we need to study art. Yeah.
So studying art history is like studying the history of humanity. Because we start with understanding how humanity, or how human beings first started to express themselves. And so, for example, you already mentioned the first marks, the figurative art found in the ochre paintings in the ancient cave walls.
Right.
And then we learn a lot about historical context, and learning art history also involves learning sociology, psychology, maybe a little bit of philosophy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was looking at it. I was like, I don't remember writing about this, but I do remember us talking about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it gives, I think, as I mentioned before, it gives like a lot of historical context. If you look back in history, art is everywhere. It influences things. And even if you don't know the artist, you can see like how society is feeling at the time based on the different types of artwork that was most popular. Like if you look at specifically like Romanticism or something, you'll like see, in France, the ladies, they wanted something like fun and like kind of like raunchy, and yeah, it's interesting how art can really give you a lot of historical context.
Yes. I wanted to ask, would you like to teach art?
Yes.
To teach art? Yeah.
Yes.
Practical or theory-based?
I wanted like drawing. Like technical.
Oh, you can teach me.
I would love to. It's interesting because I want to be an elementary/high school art teacher, but because of my museum studies class, I've been thinking about being somebody who like works at a museum and talks to people about the art at the museum rather than teaching people art, which I would still love to do, but it just sounds so appealing to be able to walk around a museum and just blab, like yap, yap, yap about a piece that I really like. So, we'll see.
Speaking about art careers, I personally am still confused. I was very sure that I would go into curatorial studies, but I don't know anymore because I have some other passions, and also I've had these thoughts about making money. As sad as this sounds, I commute a lot, so I haven't introduced myself, but I don't know how much of a background I should say, but I'm not from the US, so I was born in Eastern Europe, then I moved to Europe, Western Europe, and now I'm here. So like I've been thinking a lot about making money out of your degree, since this is really important. And we all know how difficult it is. We all know this. It's a conscious choice that we have to make, but it doesn't mean that we're like all artists are poor,
right?
And stuff like that.
The starving artist stereotype. Yeah.
What other preconceptions, what other stereotypes are there, and why do you think there are so many? It's frustrating.
I don't know. There's like a lot of them. I think the most popular one is the starving artist. I know we were going to talk about that in a different episode.
Yes.
Yes.
We should interview some starving artists.
You can interview me.
Yeah, and you can interview me.
Exactly. We'll just interview each other. Oh wait, that's the podcast, huh? But yeah, I know quite a few artists that would be happy to be interviewed who are also starving. But that might just be because they're college students. So, who knows?
Yeah, no matter what you study. Also, by the way, we're going to talk about a lot of topics in here, so it's not an art history class.
Right.
We might have some episodes about the history of art, but we'll try to make it as interesting as possible. And also, if you see us around campus, we might interview you about some like is art necessary, or some other interesting questions. And we also want to have some guests.
Yes. If you're interested in being a guest, you should DM us on Instagram. Do you know what the Instagram is?
It's WGSU.
I can't remember. Yeah, but I can't remember if it's WGSU, like Geneseo, or is it? Oh no, it's WGSU 893. That's what the Instagram is. So you can follow us on there, which is not just us; it's everybody in WGSU. Though I'm pretty sure we can make our own account, so we might do that. Yeah.
Let's talk about the art that is here on campus.
Yeah.
And the art students are part of, because there's...
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because obviously we didn't have an art program, but some professors trying to bring back the art program. So there's some very limited, like, technical art classes that you can do. But besides that, obviously there's art history, and then we have, like, anthropology and literature, like creative writing, a bunch, like basically English, music, musical theater, regular theater. I mean, honestly, you could argue that every single subject has some sort of form of art in it, but, you know, the most obvious ones I would say are probably those.
Yes, and musical theater, especially, and music is a huge thing here on campus.
Yeah.
I went to an interesting thing. I went to the Career Design Center a couple of days ago to scream for help.
To scream for help?
Help! What can I do? Because I'm graduating this year, you know?
Yeah.
And so I went there and they asked me, what do you study? I said my major is art history. And they said, oh.
They said, oh?
Oh, it's not a big program, but I feel like it is, and I feel like we do a lot here. Like, we go to museums and field trips, and yeah, it's not a big program because how many students are there?
Specifically for majors? Oh, for museum studies, there's not that many on campus, but like, if you ever do an upper level art history class, especially a level 300 class, there's like at most 10 people in a classroom. And so I think because of that, there probably isn't that many art history majors. I probably know every art history major on campus at this point because there really isn't a lot of us.
Yes, there isn't. And yeah, there isn't a lot of art history here. There isn't a lot of art history in Europe. I study in the Netherlands at the University of Groningen. Yeah, they pronounce it like that. And we're one of the smallest faculties.
There's only 3 professors. Yeah. Used to be 4, but she left.
Yeah, so do you think that's why people say artists are snobs? Maybe.
I don't know. I think the whole idea that, like, artists are snobs comes from probably, like, museum culture, because a lot of people are kind of intimidated to go to museums because they feel like they don't know enough. But it's like, it's crazy, the juxtaposition between a starving artist and an art snob. Like,
yes.
It's like, okay, pick a side, please. Are you gonna call us starving artists, or are you gonna say that we're like super snobby? Because usually being snobby is associated with higher class as well. Which which I guess makes sense, because I feel when relating it to museums, a lot of people also view museums as something that people in a higher class usually go to. I don't know why though. I mean, like, I understand why, but at the same time, I don't know. I think it's interesting because I definitely feel like a snob sometimes, but not for the reasons that most people think. I feel like a snob because I view the people who are, like, actually snobs in the art community, who are like, oh, you have to understand this in order to be able to, like, view art in the correct way. And, like, you're wrong. Stop. That's not how that works. I mean, yes, it's nice to have historical context to pieces, but honestly, it's kind of beautiful to think, like, this person has no idea what's going on, and they're just perceiving it how they perceive it without any context.
We're going to speak about defining or not defining art in our next episode.
Yes.
That's also an interesting topic. What is art? If it's necessary, should we provide a definition for art? And we were talking about this, right?
Yeah.
And it's an endless philosophical debate that probably has no answer, but it definitely has some attempts to answers.
Yeah.
And speaking about, so you spoke about artists as snobs, and I said something about artists who are starving. Do you feel like it's a matter of Eastern versus Western preconceptions, or does that refer to?
I don't know. I think when people think of like a starving artist, they just automatically assume that if you're going to try and be like specifically like a painterly artist, if we're just like focusing on that you're gonna have to like work for very, very little or be like homeless on the street and just be selling your art just to get by, rather than thinking about like, okay, people can be an artist and do another career, because obviously we understand that art doesn't necessarily make a lot of money unless you get really, really big. But I don't know. I'm not sure about the perceptions outside of America, honestly. So I don't know. What would you say?
I haven't actually heard of artists being regarded as snobs.
Mm-hmm.
In my country, in Eastern Europe, because artists are poor there.
Okay.
They really are, not especially, but I'm thinking of actors mostly, because I've had the chance to interact with a couple of actors. And I remember when I was 10, I talked to an actress, and I told her I want to become an actress, you know.
Aww.
And she said, well, yes, you can become an actress, but you're gonna die of hunger. She told me this.
That's crazy.
Straight to my face.
Wow.
And yeah, musicians. I have a family friend. We have a family friend so he's a professional musician, and he's in the orchestra, the national orchestra, but he also works as a doctor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he studied medicine, and he also was in a conservatory, musical something. But he has to do it, because if he doesn't, he's not gonna make it. He's not going to afford a lot of things. So that's why I asked, because in Eastern Europe, it's mostly that art is not appreciated. It's not invested in. It's not something people do. And that's one of the reasons why I sadly had to leave. I just couldn't study it. If I were to stay, if I had stayed, I would have studied medicine or law or something like that, because art is just not an option. We don't even have art history as a degree.
Wow.
We have a plastic art, so we have like an art academy.
Okay.
Where you practice art, and then we have a theater academy and a music academy, but we don't have art history as a discipline.
Interesting.
I never even studied it in high school, so it's like not an option, you know. People just don't pursue it. I feel like I was, I don't know, thrown there by some kind of weird wind.
Yeah.
Because I just don't belong in that.
Right. That's so interesting, considering, especially in America, the most like studied art is European art, because it's considered to be like quote unquote like best, or like what has been most significant, which is kind of a whole nother issue, because they kind of like,
that's Western Europe.
Yeah, that's Western. Yeah, that's Western
There's
Europe.
There's a lot of art. Yeah, that's why I went to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
But then, you know, I thought of going to Italy, because there's so much art in Italy,
right.
Rome. But then all the Italians go to the Netherlands to study Italian art, because they say we have art, but we don't have art history.
Oh, yeah. Because, I don't know, I guess people don't value the history of their own place as much.
Granted.
Yeah, exactly. They do.
So we spoke about what we study. How else do you engage with art, and why? What does it help you with? Is it like therapy for you, or is it more that you study it, or how do you engage with it apart from your major concentration?
Yeah, so, well, yeah, I do make art in a bunch of different varieties. Like, I will do sculpting. There we go.
Sculpting.
I'll do sculpting.
With clay?
Yeah, clay, air dried clay, wet clay. I do wood burning. I love wood burning. It's really fun. I do like those, like, I don't know if you ever see those, like, wire pieces. I like doing that. Obviously, like, painting, watercolor, pencil drawing. I do a lot of digital just because it's convenient.
Yeah.
And it's, like, it allows me to practice a lot. What else do I do? I do, like, crocheting. I know how to knit.
My mom does that.
Really?
She loves it so much, and she's, I love sunflowers, so she's crocheting sunflowers everywhere for me.
Aww.
I have a sunflower pillow, and then what else is she doing? A lot of hats.
Yeah.
Hats for me with flowery motives.
That's so cute.
And my grandma also did, I don't know the terms in English, they're Gobelin? Do you have this term? No, probably not. I should delete
Definitely
this.
not. No. Keep it.
I don't know the terminology, but they do a lot of like with the needle, and then they create
embroidery.
Yeah. But there's different types of embroidery.
Yeah,
there's
there is.
Axe embroidery.
Yeah.
Embroidery with an axe.
Yeah.
And then there's
like the straight lines. There's also 3D embroidery.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
So my grandma does this. She likes angels. She likes to embroider angels and swans and flowers and kids looking like angels.
The what are they called? Pooties.
Pooties. I love the pootie motif.
Yes, me too. Hillary does as well. One of the art history professors on campus.
Really?
Yeah, she loves pooties.
Really?
She talks about them all the time.
We should interview her.
We should. Hillary, if you're listening.
Yeah.
But I mean, what about you? Like, how do you view? I mean, you just said earlier that you might have done medicine if you had stayed in Europe.
Yeah, I'm always thinking, and I'm still thinking, because this is the perfect time to think and to feel lost in life, and to contemplate and to ask yourself if that was the right decision to make. And I always tell myself that I wish I could live more lives, specifically 3. Like a cat. We love cats.
I love cats.
I'm such a cat person. So, if I lived 3 lives, I would dedicate each one to a different career. I would take different paths. So, in one of my lives, I would become a doctor, of course, because my grandparents are doctors, and I grew up with this idea of becoming a doctor. And I remember I used to inject my dolls to heal them.
Oh my gosh.
And, but that's a dream of my grandparents. I feel like maybe I was influenced. Anyway, if I could do it in one of my lives, I would become probably a surgeon, a heart surgeon, because I'm fascinated by the human heart.
Whoa.
And the intersection between the heart and the soul. Is the soul situated in the heart?
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as the soul? That's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like the idea that we have hearts, the human heart. And then in another life, I would be a detective. I was a huge Agatha Christie fan.
Oh my gosh.
When I was growing up, and I watched so many detectives. Now I don't anymore because it's not good for my mental health.
Yeah.
So I don't watch crimes or horror movies. I have a lot of nightmares.
Yeah, no, me too.
Enough visuals. And yeah, I would become a detective or a criminologist or something like that. I would perhaps strive to FBI. I don't know. But here I am living this life and taking the risk to become an, let's say, artist. It doesn't mean painter, right?
Yes.
It means something to do with art.
Yeah.
So that's... Yeah, I live by this idea that I get to live once. Maybe I don't, maybe
reincarnation.
I will. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe I will become a doctor. Maybe I was a doctor.
I was gonna say maybe you already were. Maybe this is the final one.
By the way, I was talking to Dr. Ala, and she said that her parents also wanted her to become a doctor, and she became a doctor.
What?
Like Dr. Ala, but the wrong doctor. She became a doctor in her heart.
I mean, that's true. She is a doctor.
See, dreams come true in different ways.
Yeah, it's just maybe not how her parents imagined. That's something I need to tell my mom because she really wants me to be a doctor.
Yeah, why does everyone
Money?
want their kids
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get the idea. It's amazing to be a doctor, to save lives and stuff like that, but you can save lives with art.
You really
I
can.
think doctors would
Be upset by that.
by our statement. They might. There's art therapy, for example.
Yes, I was thinking when I was in high school if I wanted to be an art therapist, because one of the things that I would have pursued if it wasn't for art is psychology. So like your example of lives. Yeah, I would have pursued psychology. I would have pursued a lot of things. When I was a kid, oh my gosh, I was insane. I would be like, yeah, when I grow up, I want to be a pilot and a doctor and a vet, and I also want to be an artist, and I also want to be a stewardess, and like it would literally go on for like 20 or 50 careers depending.
See, that's why I love acting, because I can be all of that when I act. Yeah, that's a nice art form, I think. And when you paint, you can be
whatever you want to be, honestly, as long as you think it.
Yeah.
Conceptual
art, one of my favorite art styles, movements.
But I think we should probably wrap up. As we wrap up, I'm going to be playing our interviews where we ask people, is art necessary?
The question is art necessary, and why do you think so?
I would say it would be necessary because it gives people like a way to express themselves that they might not feel like comfortable like saying words with.
I agree, and plus, like, especially with, like, I know PTSD, a lot of soldiers express themselves through art because they're not comfortable enough to say it, and it actually, like, helps you, because sometimes words make you uncomfortable and, like, talking, but sometimes art, you don't have to show anybody, you can keep it to yourself, so you kind of, like, art is more expressive, typically.
Oh, I agree with both. I think with art, especially with humans, we use a different part of like the brain, a different part of personalities, and a different way of expression, like them both said.
Awesome, thank you.
Art is so necessary. It shows that we as humans can be creative and do things that aren't necessarily just going with the flow. Like, it gives individualism and makes everyone have their own voice.
Before we end the show, I would like to provide a disclaimer about the microphone, my microphone specifically. We recorded the show with 2 microphones, and unfortunately one of them was very problematic. It happened to be mine, and since it was our first show, we didn't know about that, so we didn't even pre-check or double check. So please, we tried to edit it as best as we could, but if you hear some unpleasant background noises, or if you don't hear me, if I'm not loud enough, please forgive us for the first time, and we'll try to have our voices heard better next time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's it from us.
We want to ask you or encourage you to send us a question via the comment section on our next Instagram post about art, about whatever you want.
Yeah.
And we will try to answer it in our next episode.
Which is art necessary? Oh wait, no, that's this episode, sorry, which is defining or not art.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it from us. Make sure you look at the moon tonight.
Yes, and don't forget to notice something artsy in the moon, on the sky, on the ground, every day, everywhere.
Look at the sunset.
From the gazebo.
And
paint it. Have you ever painted it?
I haven't painted this sunset, but I have painted a sunset before. So since we pushed back our episode from being on Monday, September 30th to October 2nd, the moon phase changed, so I had to cut that out. But that was me being like, oh my gosh, the moon phase. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024, And the phase of the moon for today is the new moon, meaning it's completely covered in shadow. And it actually rose at 6:56 a.m. this morning, and it's already set. By the time you're listening to this, at least, it's out for me right now, at 6:46 p.m. And yeah, so if you saw it, you should, I don't know, let us know that you saw it. If you have a picture, I don't know, tag us, let us know. Also, we will be making a YouTube channel to have an archive of all of our episodes, so keep a lookout for that. We will let you know next episode what the channel name is. Most likely it'll be Art After Dark, and if that's taken, we'll add the with Lia and Moon. Okay.
Memories swim and haunt you, but look into the lake, shimmering like smoke, rises the moon. Oh, close your weary eyes. I promise you that soon the autumn comes to die.